For the quick round of introduction, my name is Anu. I work as customer success manager at Amoeboids Technologies for almost past 7 years. And today I'm going to be your host for the webinar on automated release notes and reports to Slack from Jira. So in today's webinar, we will be discussing these topics. So initially, we will be discussing a few pointers around Slack. Then we will go through a quick demo how Slack, how you can integrate, how you can roll out your automated release notes and reports within Slack using AR&R app. Then we will do a quick round of question and answers so you can ask your doubts in that session. I'll share some additional use cases of AR&R or release notes and reports. We will also talk briefly on other integrations that are available in our app, Automated Release Notes and Reports for Jira, apart from Slack, and some upcoming integrations that we are already working on. So moving on to next slide. So why Slack? So basically, I'm assuming all of you are already using Slack, and you can imagine how powerful app Slack is. It is widely used mostly in the agile software teams because they want to do the quick communication and collaboration with different stakeholders. Um, Slack is also ideal in case of distributing information between teams or between different channels, whatever kind of stakeholders you might have, like your internal team or external stakeholders. And of course, Slack is also popular in terms of agile teams or organization because they want to keep everyone updated whenever they are working on different releases or they are working on sprints. It's always needed for them to stay updated and keep everyone else updated. Everyone is on same page. So Slack covers it all. Then talking about benefits of sharing reports and release notes on Slack. So the first point here is faster communication. So like I mentioned, whenever you are working within your organization, you want to share the information in real time. So to give you an example, if you have any release that is going live, you would of course want the update to be shared immediately with your customers or any relevant stakeholders who should know about that release or any bug fix you have done that is critical for your customers. So you can do faster communication using the Slack as and when you're collaborating with these teams. Improved collaboration. So when we are working within agile teams, there are multiple stakeholders involved, right? Developers are there, customer success team is there, customer support team is there, PMs are there, and this becomes a process, and it is very important for everyone to collaborate with each other. So if there is any new update in the app, that has to be informed to the support team or all the customer facing teams so they can also utilize that information when they are working with customers, so they can collaborate with each other. Centralized information, this is also one of the important part in case of Slack, or the benefit of the Slack. So people, all the organizations use different platforms or different apps in their organization to store data, but there has to be a centralized place where they can share this information with the relevant people. So in this case, you can utilize Slack, becomes a go-to tool for organizations. And enhanced visibility. So again, everyone needs, so the relevant people should have the access to the relevant information at the right time. So, and Slack again gives that benefit for enhancing the visibility of the information or the updates that you are sharing within organization. or on different channels where you have your customers, partners added on the channel. So these are some benefits, and we, while working with our customers day in day out, we have noticed, or we came across some pain points that people face when they are doing the manual release notes process in terms of sending messages on the Slack. So the very important part is about extracting data from Jira. So, as we all know, when we are working within Jira, in a single Jira issue, there is a lot of information. In description, you might have acceptance criteria and all the details that are important for your developments and QA people. Whereas you might have some custom fields that you have stored to segment your Jira issues, right? And you want to categorize that information so that can be shared with relevant people or relevant end users of that content. So that is a major pain point if you go and try to extract that data manually from Jira. Drafting a well formatted Slack message. So if you can imagine in a certain release, you have, let's say, 10 to 15 issues that are going in upcoming release, and if you try to draft that message in Slack manually, that becomes a challenge for the person who is working on the release notes to send it via Slack messages. And in this process, there is a huge chance of doing manual errors, right? It is quite error prone, and you might miss out some information, or you might send wrong information to a certain channel or a person. So that can create a huge problem. Repetitive and time consuming tasks, of course, this is again one of the major challenges that we have noticed. So for just to give you an example, in our organization, we are doing weekly releases, right? And there are some people who are assigned to share release notes with our customers or on different platforms that we have, right? So if they are going to do the same thing repetitively every week for every release, it becomes a regular task for them. But at the same time, there is a major chance of making mistakes, or it also takes a lot of time out of their daily work, right? So that is one of the other challenge. And of course, visuals are also important. So if you are sending a Slack message, it should be visually appealing. So if you are just sending a long message which has a lot of text but possibly not well formatted, in that case, at the first time whenever someone is looking at that message on the channel, they might not find it interesting because the way it looks. So that creates a first impression when you're sending out any Slack message on different channels, right? So people tend to ignore such messages. So visual aspect is also important. So all these pen points, we have got them covered when we have rolled out the Slack integration, or when we have implemented the Slack integration. So we will talk about all, you will notice all these things once we go ahead with the quick live demo. In terms of automating the process, so I'll just give you a quick brief before we actually jump into the live demo. So there are three steps involved when it comes to building your Slack release notes and reports with the help of ARNR app. So the first step is about configuring templates. So we have a tailor-made Slack templates within ARNR app, where you can actually extract the data, of course, with the power of JQL, as well as you can build your formatting or build your Slack design or the template with the help of different Slack blocks that we have added in the template. We also have added AI generators, so we will talk about that. The next step is about creating rules and triggers. So rules is a collection of different triggers that you can add within the ARNR rule, and you can automate the process for sending release notes. So, for example, another example I can give you is about, let's say, sending internal, updates whenever any new sprint starts, right? So, you have created a sprint in Jira, and you want people to know that this sprint has been created and we are going to work on it, right? So what all issues are there, what all details they need to know about it. So we can set a trigger within the ARNR rule called sprint started. So whenever any new sprint is started, the actions and rules are executed and the relevant message is sent, right? So how exactly it is sent? The last step is about the action. So when you are setting up the Slack action, so we have something called send to Slack. So that action allows you to choose the destination, meaning the channel that you want, Slack channel that you want to send the release notifications on, right? So you can select that destination on the Slack. So these are the three steps that are involved. So let us go through a quick demonstration. So I'll quickly stop sharing my screen and I'll reshare it once I have my ARNR app ready. Give me a moment. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
Okay. So can you see the ARNR app?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. So currently I'm in the templates tab of ARNR app where you can see I have created some sample templates for this demonstration. So if we go with this first template, which is post release Slack notification, which is built for or created for an automated trigger. You would notice this is the template editor or template builder that we have. And these are the different Slack blocks that we have added here, right? So JQL section, so let us go one by one. So the header block will allows you to add a heading in your Slack message where you can utilize ARNR variables. So it works dynamically and it will fetch the relevant information and replaced by the actual value. So here I have used version name. So when this is triggered, you would notice that this version name variable is replaced by the actual version name that I'm going to select. Then divider is there just to separate out make it separate out the information. Then there is a context. So in this case, I have just added the release date here. Again, I have used a different variable. So you can add the context, maybe some information or some a quick message here you want to add. You can add this. Then we have section. Here you can showcase some information or add the information. So here I have just added an announcement message that we have released this particular version, and below is the list of issues that is, that includes in this version. You can also make use of these emojis, the Slack emojis here in the markdown, and this will actually appear as an emoji there. There is another interesting block which is AI generator. So uh, if you want to, at the top of the message, if you want to share some summary of the release, you can do that as well. So here you can see I have given a prompt. I'm using some variables here, and based on this prompt, system is going to look for the summary field, or the value of the summary field for all the issues that are fetched with this JQL, right? And it will collate that information and it will, create an AI generated summary that will be added to this block. And then last is the JQL section, which is the most important part here, the core. So unlike other JQL sections with other templates like email, Confluence, etc., this is a bit different. So here you can add the title and then description if needed for that JQL, and then you add the JQL here, the query, which will help you to fetch the data from Jira itself. So here I'm just adding the project ID. So this will get me the project, and then fixed version. So whenever any release is version, it will just replace, it will just search for all the issues within that particular version. Then you can add a hide message. So if there are no issues returned from this particular GQL, that could be a case sometimes, right? You may not have any bugs in the release. So in that case, you can either completely hide the section, or if you want to keep it visible, you can just add the relevant messaging here that there are no issues included in this section. So in this way, you can create your entire Slack template. You can build the Slack template in this way by adding these different blocks, and then you can simply preview it. So when you are previewing it, you can also select the version, and you can click on preview, and you will look at the code. You can also check this preview within the Slack Kit builder block by copying this code, but we will directly go and check it when we run the rule, right? So this was about the templates part. Now, moving ahead with the rules. So this is the rule name that you can add. So this is for your internal records to identify different rules. So you can add it as you want. And these are the different triggers. So in case of manual trigger, you can utilize and manually run this rule and actions within it. But of course, you want to automate the process. In that case, you use these automated triggers. So when you select version release, that means this rule will be triggered whenever any release is marked as released in the in Jira. And then, like I mentioned, if there is a version ID variable in your template, that will be replaced with the actual fixed version that has been triggered just now, right? So you can utilize these different triggers based on your use cases and the requirements, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll quickly go and go into the releases, and I'll mark this as released, right? And okay, I'm sorry. And I'll go to my release notes channel. Right, so let me quickly, I'll just go jump onto the other. Just give me a moment. I'm just checking the logs whether the rule has run. Okay. Yeah, I hope you can see my Slack screen still.
Yes.
Yeah, so here you would notice this is the release, this is the release that I have just triggered as marked, right? And then there is a release date which I had added in the context. And then this is the section that I had added, the AI generated summary. And then these are the different sections that I had added, JQL sections like stories, where it lists down the list of stories that were the part of the release, task, and bugs, right? So if there were no issues in any of these sections, it would have showed the message that we had added in that hide message box, which says there are no releases in there are no issues in this particular section. So this is how the Slack message will be sent. Okay, and then moving on to another example, I'll share my screen, right? So this is another rule that I have created, which we generally use for sending pre-release meeting notes, right? So this is another use case in terms of using Slack for your release notes and reports. So whenever we have any release planned, so let us say today we have one release planned and it is going live at decided time, and before we actually make it live, we are going to have the pre-release meeting internally, so we can discuss the changes that we have, and people can demo what enhancements that they have added and so on. So everyone has to be on same page. As a customer success manager, I have to join that meeting. Products team is joining that meeting. Devs and QA are joining meeting. So everyone needs to know what all issues are finally going live, in today's release. So for that purpose, we will be sending this particular release notification. You can notice there are different actions within this, just not the Slack, but there are multiple actions, and you can trigger it. So this is triggered manually. So I'm going to trigger it, and I'll just give some input for the version ID, and I'll mark it as. I'll just click on OK. Right, and I'll just go back to Slack. Yeah, I'll share it once again. And uh, the automated pre-release notes reports is shared here. So this message has just came up. Yeah. So this you can see automated release notes for pre-release meetings. Again, this has some section, context, header, the summary, right? And the stories, etc. So again, this lists down some details about the issues. So you can select these different fields within your GQ section. So this information is showcased here, right? So in this way, there are multiple use cases when it comes to sharing release notes and reports using Slack. Yeah. So that was it in terms of the live demo. So I'll stop sharing, and I'll just let us go through some Q&A session. So if you have any questions, you can ask.
Yeah, thanks, Anu. This was a great session. I mean, all the things are clear. I would like to understand, how do we configure Slack?
Mhm.
How is the connection happening? Is it something that you can cover today?
Yeah, sure. So let me just share the screen once again. So, so for Slack integration, basically you need to be Jira admin, and I'm navigating to settings from uh, Jira administration, and then I'm just going to click on the configuration. So in the left navigation, you can see automated release notes and the configurations option. In the integration tab, since my Slack is already integrated here, but someone who is first time integrating the Slack, they would not see this connection name, or it will say that connect your Slack account, right? The messaging would be different. So you just have to add the connection name, which can be any connection name that you want to add, and then you click on update your Slack. You should be already logged in your Slack, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here you will have to allow Slack to be connected. Once this is done, your Slack connection will be on, and you will be able to work with rest of the steps that I have just mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So are you okay? Got it. Yeah, thank you. And when we are triggering a rule, we can add
Mhm.
multiple actions. Is it like the same message will get published on Confluence or email or Slack? Is it that way?
No. So basically, when you are, so let me share the screen, share it on the screen. So, okay. I hope it is still visible.
No.
Okay. Okay. Somehow it stopped. Right. So when you are adding different actions within your rule, you have to select a relevant template. So for example, if you are adding a Confluence action, you have to select the Confluence instance that you have
Mhm.
integrated, because you can integrate multiple Confluence instances at the same time. You can select the destination, right? The select
Mhm.
the so you have to select the source and the destination. So in terms
Mhm.
of source, you will be selecting the product space where your template is available. You select the specific template that you have already created within Confluence, and so
Mhm.
on. right?
Mhm.
And then you
Mhm.
also select the destination where exactly you want to publish. So that differs action to action, what type of action you are adding. If it
Yeah,
is an email action, you select the email template. So in
right.
this way, you can configure every action with the relevant template there.
Got it. So when you are triggering this rule, are all these actions getting triggered at the same time or
Yes, that's right.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, because
Got it.
trigger is at the rule level, whether
Mm-hmm.
it is manual or automated, it will trigger all the different rules.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Got it.
please.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? So I take it as no, and I'll just jump onto the presentation once again.
Sure.
Right. So that was about the demo, and we also covered the Q&A session. So these are some additional use cases in terms of sending release notes and reports over the Slack. So release planning report, right? So if you have created, if you want to send a release planning report beforehand with your team while you are planning the release, you can create such report and share it with the relevant internal teams, right? The products team, the development team, QA team, etc. This is one of the use cases. A pre-release report that we just saw in the demo, you can send a pre-release message or the report within Slack. Release notes for different stakeholders post new version release, right? So this is again one of the examples that I covered for version release trigger, right? So you can add multiple channels in different actions. So the same release notes message is sent to the different channels where you might have different stakeholders. You might have a channel for your customer support team. You might have a channel for your customers, the actual customers, your partners, and so on. So you can utilize actions where you can send the same release notes for different stakeholders. Sprint review report. So whenever you are doing a sprint review, you want to send out a report beforehand, before you go into the meeting, or just to make sure that everyone is on same page, no issues are missed, or all the required issues are added to the sprint. So from that perspective, you can share that report beforehand. Weekly or monthly customer support, it's not just about your software development projects. Even if you are using JSM, and you have separate channels for your customer success or support team, right? So they are dealing with customers using JSM tickets day in, day out. So you want to send a weekly or monthly customer support report to that team, or possibly the managers who are actually heading those teams. So you can um utilize ARNR app for sending Slack messages for these weekly or monthly reports. It's just that you go to that particular project, create your template for the Slack, build your rules and actions, select the relevant, destination, and send out that, or make it automated on different using different cron jobs. Because you have another trigger that is for sending reports, release notes on a certain interval. And version workload report, again, whenever you are working on any new release, you just need to understand the version workload of in that particular release, whatever in terms of different versions, what all issues are going into these versions and so on. So you can build a version report, version workload report as well. So these reports for different templates, we already have some template gallery built. So you can also explore the template gallery just to get a gist of how these reports may look like in different kinds of templates like email, PDF, and so on. And yeah, these are the additional use cases. And right, and then integrations that are already available within the Slack, right? Other than available other than Slack, I'm sorry, within ARNR. So currently we already have integration for JSM. We also have an integration for Confluence. So in JSM, you can send an announcement about the new release or any other release notification you want to send out. Within Confluence, we have another free app called Helper app, where you can integrate it with ARN, and then that will connect the ARNR app and your Confluence instance, and you can easily post your release notes, publish your release notes within Confluence. We also have recently added Teams integration. So you can also send out your release notes and reports on Teams, and then LinkedIn, where you can actually publish your release notes announcement on your organization's LinkedIn account. And then we also have integration with OpenAI, where you can, so the AI generator part that we saw, right? So this is related to the OpenAI integration. With the help of OpenAI integration, you can generate AI generated release note. You can create AI generated release notes, and then send those notes across different channels or different platforms based on the template that you are using. And these are some upcoming integrations that we are actively working on. So we are working on Notion integration. We are also looking forward to add an integration for Intercom. So where you can, so generally Intercom is used within your app for the chat support. So you can post these release notes and reports directly on the Intercom for your users. Then RSS feed integration is also in progress, and we are also looking forward to implement an integration with Zendesk. So these are all upcoming integrations that we are working on to make them app more versatile in terms of publishing release notes and reports on different platforms. Yeah, that's all from my side for today's webinar. So after this webinar, if you have any queries, any questions you need support for, your existing queries related to the app, you can reach out to us via chat support that is within the app. And you can also reach out to us via support. The support link is available within help tab of ARNR app. So you can just navigate to help tab and click on the service desk link and create your support requests. Be it your, any query about the app or any new app idea or feature request that you want to share with us. We are all here. We are all, happy to hear that as a feedback from your side.
Thanks, Anu. I
Thank
have
you
a
very much.
yeah, I think we
Yes,
have
Mark.
some time. I just have a small question on the AI generator part.
Mm-hmm.
So I saw that you told that AI generator will add a summary to the list of things, right? So is it always only add a summary on top of the list, or does it also add summary for each of the ticket?
Yes. So basically AI generate, it depends on how you build your template. So of course you can add that AI generator macro, or in terms of Slack we call it block.
Mm-hmm.
So Slack block after every JQL section.
You mean every ticket, or I mean, so for
Um,
example, in the bug section, you have shown there are some 6 to 7 bugs fixed, right?
mhm,
And I
mhm.
would like to add a summary of each bug, what it was, rather than just giving the ID of it, right?
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so at that level, does AI generator?
So
Mhm.
yes, you can do it, but it is done in a bit different way, not really with the AI generator macro or the block that we have. There is another way to do it. So, for example, so let me show it quickly,
Yeah.
right? So I'm assuming you want to, you know, uh, so if you see here, so for example, this is an AI generated summary, right?
Mhm.
So what we do is, in this case, we maintain separate custom Jira custom fields for showcasing this kind of information, which can be used, which can be updated using the AI generator tab. So you must have noticed the AI, the generator tab in project screen.
Mhm.
So you can utilize that tab to update your AI generated summary that has to be shared in those public release notes custom fields, right? And then you can utilize these fields. You can configure these fields in your jQuery sections, and then further this will be executed and the content will be extracted accordingly.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this is possible. So it is just another way. So maybe after this webinar, we can connect on a screen
Sure.
sharing call, and I can share the entire workflow with you, because
Yeah.
there are multiple ways to do it. You can do it manually. You can automate the process using the rules, because there is an AI action as well.
Mhm.
So yeah, you can do it in different ways, definitely.
Sure. Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions from other participants? Okay, Sujit, anything you want to include, or anything that you want to share with us?
This looks perfect. I think you have covered all the
Okay,
topics.
sure. Okay, thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. And yeah, it was great talking with you. Thank you for your time.